From the very first hours after the appearance of the new U.S. plan to end the war in Ukraine, it became clear that Washington was not aiming for a normal settlement but for a moment of complete restructuring of the political and military landscape in Europe. The plan, presented in 28 points, was introduced with unprecedented speed and with direct pressure on all parties involved, as if the decision had already been made and only the official announcement remained. This sudden push reveals that the United States has reached a strategic conclusion. The continuation of the war no longer serves its interests, and closing this file has become a political necessity before being a step toward peace. To understand what is happening, we need to focus on the key question: why now? The truth is that Washington has detected major changes on the ground. The momentum of the Ukrainian counteroffensive has declined compared to the early years. Military capabilities are being consumed faster than they can be rebuilt. European aid is slowing down due to internal crises, and the American voter is no longer willing to finance a war with no clear end. With political deadlines approaching inside the United States, the administration needed a foreign achievement to present to the public. As a result, the plan was born with the decisive and urgent shape that we see today. The plan itself is built on pure pragmatism, harsh pragmatism for Ukraine. Washington believes Kyiv will not be able to regain all its territory, and that time is no longer on the Ukrainian side. Therefore, from the US perspective, the only workable solution is to freeze the new reality in place under an international agreement that forces all parties to comply. The core points of the plan are clear. Ukraine will be permanently prevented from joining NATO. Its military will be reduced in both size and capability, and some regions in the east and south will be treated as closed files that cannot be renegotiated. In return, the United States offers security guarantees and extensive funding for reconstruction, but these guarantees are not open-ended. They are strictly conditioned on full compliance with the agreement. On the Ukrainian side, the situation is extremely complicated. Officials publicly state that they refuse to give up any territory, but behind closed doors the discussions are far more difficult. The army is exhausted, ammunition stocks are limited, and European support is no longer what it used to be. Ukraine knows that rejecting the plan could mean losing a significant portion of international support, but accepting it could trigger internal anger and deep political divisions. It is a choice between two painful outcomes: losing the war on paper, or losing it on the battlefield in the coming months. Europe, meanwhile, was shocked by the plan as well. Several European countries feel that Washington has redesigned the future of European security without consulting them. For capitals like Berlin and Paris, the plan does not look like a peace agreement as much as it looks like a unilateral move that allows the United States to control Ukraine's future entirely. Europe fears that this agreement could become a precedent that sidelines its role on its own continent, pushing security decisions back into the exclusive hands of Washington. Similar to the dynamics of the 1970s and 1980s, Russia, on the other hand, is the calmest actor in this entire equation. Not because the plan gives it everything it wants, but because it is the closest US proposal since the start of the war that aligns with Russian strategic interests. Halting the war without massive concessions, solidifying a new geographic reality, and reducing Ukraine's military capabilities all are major strategic gains. Russia will certainly demand additional amendments, but it fully understands that the essence of the plan leans strongly in its favor. With each party standing on the edge of either acceptance or rejection, three major scenarios emerge. The first is that Ukraine accepts the plan under economic, political, and military pressure, shifting the country from open warfare to a stage of state reconstruction under direct Western oversight. The second scenario is rejection, which would likely lead to the first significant US-European clash since the conflict began, potentially turning internal disagreements within the West into Russia's greatest strategic advantage. The third scenario, the most likely, is adjusting a few points of the plan for public presentation, modifying the wording without changing the essence. The bottom line is that what's happening is not just an attempt to stop the fighting. It is a complete re-engineering of the balance of power in Europe. The US plan reveals a clear desire to close one of the decade's most dangerous files quickly in a way that serves Washington's interests, even if that comes at the expense of Ukraine or even at the expense of unity within Europe. The future of this war will not be decided by battlefield dynamics alone, but by the terms of the settlement that will eventually be imposed. And the current moment appears to be a genuine turning point that might redraw Europe's political and military boundaries for decades to come. The open question is whether this represents true peace, or merely a long truce that prepares the ground for a different kind of conflict in the future.